while I just can't believe that a guy had to marry somebody like that, God asked a prophet to do that. Number one, it's like, well, everybody wants to be a prophet. Are you sure? um, but the thing that impresses me about it is this book just shows so intimately God's passion for us. That word that he mentioned, yada, know, to know. He wants to know us. That word yada was when, in Genesis, when it says um, Adam knew Eve, knew was yada. Same. It's like intimate. He's this, we think of him as a king, we think of him as creator, and he is. He is that. He's our high priest. He's everything. But the Bible says that we were made in his likeness and image and likeness. And if you can imagine if you had to marry somebody who you knew was going to go cheating on you, which is there really any more hurtful event in a human's life to have, a husband go around and cheat on you, or a wife to cheat on you. And this is what happened with Israel. That's how God felt when they went and worshiped other gods. And I know I tend to judge Israel at times, but we can do, and we probably do the same thing in different ways, putting other things first before him. But I don't know. I just love how God is so real about his emotions with Israel. He always loved Israel, but they were so unfaithful. I mean, they're so faithless. But he would go through the emotion. He went through the emotions that we go through. At first he'd get angry, so angry, because he was being cheated on. Basically, they were giving all their heartfelt adoration to basically a demonic principality. Leaving him to do that, and then at one point worshiping him and them. Just very messed up. But so God got really angry, just like we would. The first thing, when you get a real hurt, a human, if we hit our finger with a hammer, the first thing that happens is we say something nasty, because I don't know why. Just when we get hurt, our first reaction is anger. And not that the Lord didn't have a right; He absolutely had a right to be angry, because He had a covenant with the Israelites. On Mount Sinai, they entered into a covenant with him. And they said to Moses, tell God to tell us. They didn't want to go up the mountain to meet with the Lord, with Yahweh. They stayed down there, and they told Moses, you go up and find out what he wants us to do, and we will do it. They actually set the standards for the covenant that they entered into with God. So in that covenant, as we all know, it's if you do good, you get blessings. If you do bad, you get punishment, justice. And Israel went through a whole bunch of that. But once the justice was meted out, then he could feel the pain, and God would feel the absolute pain. I mean, there's I looked it up, but I don't know right where it is, where he said he calls Israel Ephraim. The pain set in, and then through the pain, he came into deciding to forgive. And really, that's what we face too. That kind of thing. When we're just so hurt, we get angry and we want justice. And then once the heat of all that is gone, we feel just the pain of it, unless we cover it up with whatever substances are in this world. But then after that, we have a decision to make. Do we forgive and restore that relationship, or do we just stay bitter for the rest of our life? But God shows us over and over again that he would fulfill the covenant he had with them, but he would also always restore them. Always restore them. And that's why I love this book, because I don't know, it just makes me feel closer to him, to know that he placed in me the same emotions he goes through. And it just makes me feel more like a daughter, which I am. He's, we're his children. And we're other things too, but we're his children, and he's our father. And that book just really brings home the depth of our God's. He has emotions. He's not sitting up there with emotionless. He has emotions that we absolutely know. And we go through it. So I love this book because of that. And it's so beautiful at the end of the book, near the end of the book, when his wife Gomer comes to a mess. All her lovers just kind of dropped her, and she was actually sold into slavery. And Hosea went down there, and she was being sold off cheap because she was worthless to them. She was just a whore. But Hosea went down and paid an exorbitant amount of money to buy her back. And that is the love of God. That's what he does for us all the time. All the time. So I think what God really wants is us to love him and have a passion for him like he has for us. And it's easy when we focus on him and get to know him and notice the things. The more we have him in our life, and here, and also, and that'll come out in the things that we do. So to me, it's a sad book, but it's a book of real love. And that's why I like Hosea. And that's it.
Very good.
I read it. I read all the scriptures, but I just gave you my thoughts on it. What it is. Thank you.
Amen.
That's awesome. Yeah.